and good afternoon, beautiful people. Welcome back to Spill the Tea Lou, and it's nice to be back. It is nice to be back, lads. I was away, as you know, over the weekend. Of course, I picked just a fantastic weekend to do it, but sometimes real life comes first. And as you can see, I am so very organised for my first stream back. I have the sound on, I have myself echoing, I have the screen shared, and I'm late. I mean, I've just gone, I've absolutely took out today completely. What a way to start the week. And to be fair to me, this is my Monday. I know it's Tuesday for everyone else, but I'm only back today, last night. So therefore I am, please excuse me a moment. Oh, it's, okay, sorry, I thought that was about the stream. It's not, it is just a picture. Yes. But so, I'm back. That's going to be us back in action, back on the regular. I'm going to be doing 12-7, 12-7, 12-7, I hope, unless we run out of things to talk about. Although, to be fair, that doesn't seem like the kind of thing that's going to happen to me. Even with the international break on, even with Man United not playing for 65 years, I do feel like, given the amount I talk, we're going to find things to talk about. If not, sure, we'll just have a wee natter. But it is nice to see you. I see our Nathan. Our Nathan is in the house and he is welcoming back the prodigal son. Nathan, I don't know how to tell you this, but I am female, so I believe I would be the prodigal daughter in that scenario. But also our lovely guest is in the house saying it is nice to have you back. Well, I'll tell you what, it is nice to be back. I have definitely missed you guys. Also, like, my other half and his family, they don't care about football. They do not care about football. So I'm watching the match and they're like, the final, and they're like, don't get it. I don't get it. What's so exciting? What's the big deal? And I'm like shouting, I'm moving, I'm talking to people, I'm talking to the players, and they're not feeling it. So it is nice to be back with football people that will want to talk to me about football, because that is a way of life. However, if you're interested in what I was doing when I was away, so I was doing lots of different things. I was like climbing canyons and we were doing all sorts of different stuff. However, one of the things I did when I was away was the Belgium Auto Show, which was fantastic. We did a nice sort of drift show at that as well. Really good. Obviously, if you're not into cars, you're not into cars. But if you were a car type of person, I have uploaded a video from the drift show. So do check that out if you're interested and you haven't seen it. However, it is back to the football, and my goodness me, we have a lot to be catching up on. First of all, it is the Carabao Cup. Now, before we go into anything else, before I look at the match, I know everybody else has been talking about it. It's probably all talk to death, but you know what? I wasn't here. I didn't get to talk about it, and I need to get it off my chest, and I need to talk to you about it and know what you think. So on that note, I do have a poll in the chat saying, does the cup result impact the title race? I've given you 3 options. It seems like a yes or no question, but I've come up with a third option, obviously. So yes, and so far we've 25%. No, so far we've 25%, and it will impact the City-Arsenal match in the Premier League, which obviously then might decide the rest of the Premier League. So it's not quite the whole league yet, but it will impact that specific match. So far, 50% of people are saying it would, with more votes. We have more votes coming in as I'm looking at it. So we have changed, we have updated percentages, people. This is so exciting. So exciting, the percentage change live while I'm watching it. So we have now gone to 40% yes, 20% no, 40% it'll impact the City-Arsenal match. Well, guys and gals, please do remind me to check back in on that as we go through the stream, because let's face it, I never bloody remember. I never remember, so do please try and remind me, and I'll do my best to end the poll so you can see the results at the end of the stream or during the stream, because I put these polls up and they're good polls, they're well thought out, they're nice questions, you know, and then I always forget. I read them out at the start and I completely forget. and I'm still only getting back into the swing of things, so let's face it, I'm almost definitely going to forget. And Boffman is in the house saying hi to everybody, and of course to our lovely guests. So the first thing that I want to say is this was not the result I was expecting. I was very surprised. I think for the most part this season, Arsenal have been very smooth. They have been a very well-oiled machine. They have been very confident. They've been, I think smooth's a really good word for it, to be honest with you. And so it did. The result took me by surprise because I think, City have been a bit up and down. They've been a bit all over the place. They've absolutely not been the City of old. And Arsenal have just been absolutely on it. So, yeah, I did hold my hands up. I got it totally wrong. I did, in fact, think that that Arsenal were going to win the match before we went into it. That was my prediction, was Arsenal were going to win. I actually, if you told me it was going to be 2-0 to Arsenal, I would have believed you, because City have been so up and down, so off the boil. Arsenal have been so smooth, particularly in cup competitions. They've done overall quite well. Like when you look at how they're performing in the Champions League, they've been so good. And I know the standard isn't as good, blah, 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 blah. I know. But it's cup competition versus Premier League is what I mean. So I have to say, I thought it was going to be a walk in the park for Arsenal, genuinely 100%. But also there's so much confliction for me as a Manchester United fan in that scenario, because at this point, City were already out of the Champions League and we needed to stop the quad talk for both teams. So my reckoning was, obviously I don't want either of them to win, but if Arsenal lose, that means the quad talk is off for them as well. So I was like, okay, I can get on board with Arsenal losing, City winning, because that means both teams are out of a quad, which was starting to get just slightly concerning. And I know people saying it's not realistic, there's too many games, it's too difficult, it wouldn't happen. That's all well and good saying it wouldn't happen until it happens. People said a treble would never happen, and look what happened there. So until it was gone as a genuine possibility, I was a little bit concerned, especially the longer the season went on and the more competitions they were still in. So I was happy enough for not happy, that's probably the wrong word, but the lesser of two evils for me was City winning this one, so Arsenal go out. However, lovely Patrick is in the house. Hi Patrick, it is nice to see you. Lovely Flossie is in the house. It is nice to see our mama Flossie. Nice to see you guys. But what I didn't realise, and this is just a bad faux pas on my part because silly me, I didn't realise that meant that Pep has now won more of these than Sir Alex Ferguson and any other manager ever, because he has now won 5 and Sir Alex Ferguson won 4. So that's not great. I would have preferred if Arsenal had bottled a different, or fumbled, or whatever nice word you want to use, different competition. It would have made me feel better. But what's done is done. We can't change it. And look, no quads for anyone this year. So we have to take the small mercies where we can get them, don't we? Don't we, when it comes to football? Especially when your own club isn't doing the business and you have to rely on other people to make you feel better about life. Bear with me a moment, guys, because I need to take a sip of my very nice cup of tea, because the tea in Belgium, while I love my in-laws and I love Belgium, the tea there is not the same as here. It is just not the same, and you don't need to hear me slurping. So, if you all say hi to everybody, I'm going to take a sip of my tea. Sorry, when I said a sip, I meant like several big massive gulps, because it's, do you know when you make, right, not all cups of tea are equal. Do you know when you make a cup of tea and it's just that right temperature, it's just that nice side of hot where it's not so hot you can't drink it, but it's just above, it's just the nice, you've got the nice exact amount of milk. It's a good cup of tea, and I'm sorry guys, I've missed you all very much, but I'm not wasting a good cup of tea. Patrick, correct and right. Tea is only good if you slurp it, to be honest. It doesn't count any other way. You are correct and right. A sip is the polite way of saying slurp, because slurp sounds messy, doesn't it? Guess is saying what she means is they didn't have lions. Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. They probably have loads of tea you would like, Guess. Just they don't have lions. But Patrick has a very good question, and it's a question I'm going to come back to towards the end, and I'm actually going to write this down. I have to, because lads, what will happen? I'll forget. Let's be honest. So Patrick's question of City League momentum, because they're out of everything else. No other comps, because that's something I'm going to come to at the end. So I'm going to go through the match, and then I'm going to have a look at that. I saw our Sachin sneak in. There is Sachin. Hi Lou, hope you are well. I hope you are well too, Sachin. It is nice to see you guys. Honestly, I missed you guys so much. I really did. It's lovely to see all the faces come back in. Do you know, before I hit go live, I did panic a little bit. Had a little moment, and I was like, oh no, I've been away for days. Maybe people won't join the stream. I was like, imagine how awkward that's going to be. Also, I'm a little bit devastated, guys. We were like this close. I could practically touch 500 subscribers. And do you know what happened? We lost some. Some of the little teacups while I was away. They left us. So we need people, 34 teacup friends to join us. And we have hit 500, the magical number. So please do encourage anybody you know who might like the channel to jump in and say hi and join us, so we can hit the magic number. But for the match itself, I'm not going to do a big deep dive, because as I said, I'm sure everybody's already spoken about it on every single channel, and I'm sure most of you watched it. So just to give it a quick, I suppose, from my point of view, first half, mostly Arsenal. City grew into it. Second half was City's half. It was like a tale of two halves, a tale of two teams, and yet again a tale of two keepers. So we have spoken so much this season about keepers. Obviously, we had the whole Kinski debacle. However, we've also been speaking about Vicario. We've also been speaking about Sanchez. We've also been speaking about, I've been speaking a lot about Lamens in a good sense. Do you know, we've looked about Donnarumma. Like, there's been so many different keepers. Keepers have really been on the agenda, I think more so than ever really this season. And so again, we had the tale of two keepers. So you had James Trafford, who made a triple save. And this was at 0-0 for City. Okay, so if any of those attempts go in, Arsenal are 1-0 up. The game has a completely different complexion, because we know goals change games. They change momentum, they change attitude, they change ways of play. They do all sorts of different things to a game. So the fact that Trafford made a triple save at 0-0 just cannot, the importance of that cannot be overstated. That literally is such a key moment in the game. It's a turning point in the game. Palace is in the house. It is lovely to see Palace back with us. And then obviously you go to the other keeper, and as far as I'm concerned, both goals were mistakes by Kepa. I know people are speaking about the first one more so than the second one from what I've seen online, any of the reactions I've had a look at. But for me, I actually think Kepa, the first one was dreadful, and the second one he should have done better. Do you know what I mean? So I actually think he was responsible for both. But again, just we've spoken so much about keepers this season. I thought it was very interesting that the cup, the first trophy of the season, the one that potentially, that some people think will, you know, set the trajectory for the rest of the season in other competitions, was actually, again, a tale of two keepers. And I found that very, very interesting. Luke is in the house. Welcome back, Luke. It's like a wee reunion, isn't it, after you've been away for a little while? It's lovely. But yeah, so I just, like, let's look at the two goals, and then we'll look at the wider picture. So the first goal, obviously, is the one where Kepa catches it. He catches the ball and then lets it go through his hands. He basically puts it on the ground for Nico O'Reilly, who obviously smashes it in. Very, very, very good goal. And then you have the second goal, which is Nico heading it into the back of the net. But what I thought was very interesting there, so there was a cross came in, and I'm not going to remember all the players, but there was like one player, a City player, another City player, and Nico was the third player. So there was like a train of City players across the box. One of them was going to get it. There was 3 of them. He was the third one. It came to him. He beat his man and he heads it in the back of the net. A very good goal. However, the keeper, Kepa, looked very uncertain. He didn't know what way to look. He didn't know what way to go. He didn't know what way to move. His positioning was very, very bad. His hand was very soft. He didn't even fully outstretch it. And I actually think if he had been a bit more solid, a bit more certain, a bit more, confident, he could have saved that goal. I think that's the kind of goal that Raya saves. I think it's the kind of goal that Lamin saves. I think it's the kind of goal that Donnarumma saves. I think it's the kind of goal that Trafford at the other end is probably going to save. So I think while yes, the first one is more obviously a mistake from the keeper, I also think the second goal was the keeper's fault as well. What I would say is the reason that the keeper makes more errors is because he's facing more shots and more danger, and therefore is more liable to have errors. So I think overall as a team they performed badly, and I think the keeper was the cherry on top, if that makes sense. So yeah, Sachin saying his defenders also look like headless chickens who could not pass to anyone. They did. And like Hincapie had a really bad match. Had a really, really bad match. I don't understand, and maybe someone can tell me this because I didn't see a lot of the build up. I know he come on as a sub. I don't know why Calafiori didn't start that match, because he has been one of their best players for the entire season. All season. One of the best players. Didn't make it on the pitch. I don't understand. I do not understand. It actually really, really confused me why he wasn't starting, because this match was important for momentum. It is the first trophy of the season. When you haven't won a trophy since forever, you want any trophy. Start with any and build your way up. I mean, I would love it. I'd bite your hand off for it. So, yeah, I didn't fully understand why some of those players lined up in the starting lineup, if I'm totally honest. And obviously one of the topics, and especially given the mistakes that were made, was should Kepa have been in the starting lineup? So I've seen some people sneak in, so I'm going to say hi to everybody, have a slurp of tea, and then we'll talk about should Kepa have started? And then we'll look at, wider impact for the whole rest of the season, because we're dramatic like that. Let me see. Patrick is saying City did well to stifle Arsenal. You could see it. Kepa was very slow to release the ball. He did. He looked very uncertain and shaky the whole match. And I think, do you know what? Right. And maybe I'm being a bit mean, but the people who gave out about Kinski being subbed off after 15 minutes will be the same people saying Kepa should have been subbed off. I absolutely no doubt about it. So I said at the time I thought it was the best thing for Kinski himself to be taken off in that moment. If you see your keeper is that shaky in a cup, in a final, get him off the pitch. Just get him off the pitch. You have got to be ruthless. You have to be ruthless. How do people get to the top? By standing on top of other people. And I like to think of myself as I'm generally a nice person. But if I want something and you get in my way, you best believe I'm going to move you. Do you know what I mean? If you want to win in a competitive sport, you have got to be ruthless. He was shaky. If we could see it, Arteta could see it. Fair enough, if you wanted to start him, you definitely could have subbed him. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, so we'll come back. We are going to come back to that. Lovely Shem is in the house. Hello. Hope you are good and smiling more than Spurs fans. To be fair, after United's last match, I was raging. That match reaction, I recorded that at like 1:10 in the morning, the night of the match. I was so mad. I was really, really angry. I was so mad that when I uploaded it, I put the wrong date for it to go out. Oh dear. But yeah, to be fair, it's a lot worse for Spurs at the minute. guess what? We're going to go on a 3-week not losing streak. Do you know what, Shem? I love you looking at the bright side. Sachin is saying Trafford will also be the best English keeper in a few years. City doing a blunder, but it is what it is. Yeah, do you know what? He has a lot of promise. The man wants to be a first team player. I don't think he stays at City next season. I think he leaves this summer. He joined City under the impression he was going to be the first team keeper. He has come out since that and said, I thought I was going to be the first team keeper. I don't think he stays. I think he looks for a move away in the summer. Absolutely 100%. I would be astounded if he doesn't. Speaking about the defenders, Sachin says it was hilarious to see a professional team be completely clueless when things did not go the way they expected. The game pretty much ended. The player of the year. And what's BDO? What's BDO? Talks for Rice. Ballon d'Or. Talks for Rice. Lucky is in the house. Hello, Lucky. I'm glad you found us. You have an Arsenal friend and they will correct it to win against Bournemouth. I mean, that's very possible. Aaron is in the house. Hello, hello. What else are we saying? Who else is here? Let me see. Lucky is saying United should be focusing on their top 4. Yes, we should. Flossie is saying Trafford should have gone to Newcastle. He's probably thinking the same thing himself. To be fair, there's so many teams having terrible seasons with their keepers. I don't think he's going to find it hard. Like, he might end up at Chelsea next season. For example, Chelsea are going to want a new first team keeper. He could end up at Chelsea. If Spurs pull off a miracle and stay up, they're going to want a new keeper. So he might go to Spurs. I mean, that would be crazy, but he might go to Spurs. Do you know what I mean? Like, Queeveen Kelleher, now first team for Brentford, and he's flying. It can happen. Sorry, has to be done, guys. Patrick says, Lou, had City lost in a similar fashion to how Arsenal did, do you think Pep gets the same scrutiny on his goalkeeper choice? And there's a few comments there on Kepa, so I'm going to read them all and then we'll do the Kepa talk, okay? So Harold says Arteta was 100% right with Kepa. And Sachin says people are taking the easy way out with Kepa. He was not good, but so was his whole team. Those attackers looked bad. After Kushinov intercepted a few long balls, they just ran out of ideas. Aaron, it is tea. I had coffee earlier and then I had toast just before the stream and I have a little cup of tea to wash it down. Luke, who is an Arsenal fan, says, I'm not bothered about Arteta starting Kepa. We used to start our second keeper in the FA Cup and a lot and still won. So, on the Kepa thing, for me personally, I actually completely understand why you started Kepa. I completely understand why you started Kepa. I actually don't see why it's so dramatic. Obviously, he's made mistakes, but I mean, right. Let's go back, and I'm going to go back and use the Spurs one again, okay? So, Igor Tudor started Kinski. His first team keeper just hasn't been at the races anyway, and it was a cup competition. He started the backup keeper, which is normal. This is completely normal. It's not like, oh my goodness me, like, hello, Alex Ferguson, he started the backup keeper in all the cup competitions. All of my life, that's what you do. You play your second choice in your cup competitions. That's completely the normal thing to do. Like, and we had Romero, who was fantastic, so we were very, very lucky. You know, we've had some mixed ones over the years, first and second choice keepers, but I mean, we've been overall lucky for the most part. But so for me, it's a completely normal thing to start your backup keeper as such in a cup competition. And now I know a lot of people are saying, well, that's all well and good, but when you get to the final, you want to win the final, so you start your first choice keeper. Whereas my attitude is, well, if this keeper has got you all the way to the final, they're good enough to play in the final. And I don't mean like, you know, they've got you this far, it's mean if you don't let them play, which I do agree with as well, because we talk about man management and people not being good man managers and people not feeling motivated and all of this. There's been a lot of talk about man management this season as well, particularly, you know, with some of actually the traditional top 6 teams. And so what kind of man management is it if Kepa gets him the whole way to the final and then you drop him? So it's not a case of, oh, well, it's mean, so, like, who cares? Like what I was saying, there's people with my sort of attitude to this being like, be ruthless, it doesn't matter, you know, play your best keeper, you want to win the competition. The thing is, until this point, he hadn't given an indication that he wasn't going to be good enough because he got you to this point. So it's not just about being nice, it's about, well, he's earned it by being good. By being good. Why would you think he's going to do them 2 bad things after having, you know, getting you this far? The other thing of it is, if you make too many changes and you lose a match, you're beaten over the head with, it's not broke, why did you try and fix it? Like, this keeper has been working for this competition, why did you change it? Why did you fix what wasn't broken? You've left it worse now, it's not working. You made too many changes, the team didn't gel properly. Why would you make that many changes for a final? Why would you make such an important change for a final? That's worked the whole way through the competition. So I think if he doesn't play him and Arsenal still lose, he gets hammered for changing him. And I think if he plays him and he has a blinder, you're going fantastic, good man management, good tactical decision. Do you know, he was right to play him. I think the reason you're getting battered is because he's made 2 mistakes. Do you know what I mean? But Raya could have made mistakes. Like, I'm saying I think Raya doesn't make either of those mistakes, and I believe that. But I mean, we don't know. Raya might have made different mistakes. And the thing is, as Sachin has said, and he's completely right, the whole team was terrible. The entire team was bad. And like, when you're a keeper and you're facing that many shots because your team is that terrible, eventually one of them is going to go in. Just law of averages, one of them's going to go in. So while David Raya is a very good keeper, he's certainly not infallible. He's absolutely not infallible. He also concedes goals, and when he's facing that many shots, he could have conceded maybe different goals than the ones that Kepa conceded. So I don't see the issue with starting him. It's what I would have done. I don't see the big deal, and I think there were multiple other problems than the keeper. Yes, he was one, but there were multiple other problems. Why was the ball getting to him every time for him to keep making these mistakes? If the defenders were doing their job, the ball wouldn't have keep getting to Kepa. Do you know what I mean? It would have been stopped before it got to him. So that tells me the rest of the team isn't doing their job already. Also, for me, I'm very much one of those, if you make too many changes for a big match and then it doesn't work, why did you change so many things? Why did you change something that was working? So I don't see the issue with starting him. I would have subbed him though. You can see he's shaky, you can see it's not working, you can see there's a problem. I'd have subbed him, is what I'd have done. I probably would have started him, but I would have subbed him. So yeah, I think there's a lot of different opinions out there. I think it's easy to blame one. When he's made 2 obvious errors, it's easy to go, bam, it was his fault. But why did it keep getting to him? Why did the manager not make a change when it wasn't working? Why did the manager wait so long? Like, honestly. So yeah, I don't see the issue. I don't see it, being honest. Palace is, let me see, hold on, I think I've skipped a load of comments. Oh no, I didn't. Palace is saying, Lou, what do you think happened to Arsenal in the second half? I know Pep changed the system, but it was not the same Arsenal as well. And I actually wish I knew, because they come out a far worse team. Like, sometimes we see this all the time, do you know, teams are completely different in the second half. A lot of the time they're better in the second half because their manager's got a hold of them and like, what are you doing? Fix this. But Arsenal were worse. And I think with Arteta, he worked under Pep. When you work under somebody that you respect and that you admire and that you look up to, no matter how successful or how good you become in your life, when you see that person again, you become the student all over again. And this isn't a criticism of Arteta, it's human nature. So like, for example, and this won't apply to everybody because not everybody likes school. I really enjoyed school. I had a really good time. I was quite book smart, so I did well, so I enjoyed it because it was something I was good at. And we always enjoy things that we're good at, don't we? But so there was a few of my teachers that I got on with really, really well. One of them is actually an artist now. He was my art teacher, but he's an artist now, and you know, he does exhibitions and the whole lot. And he's a really, really, really lovely man. Do you know what I mean? But I'm now a grown adult who's had my own business. I have my own house. Do you know, I'm very much a grown up, okay? If I was to bump into him, I'm a 16-year-old schoolgirl again. Hello, sir. Do you know what I mean? You slip back into it without meaning to. And I think Arteta slips into it with Pep without realising. I don't think he means to. I just think it's when you've spent that time with someone in that scenario, it happens. It is human nature. And so I think if he's giving out that vibe, his players are going to feel it. I don't know. It's very hard to know. I just think the dynamic between Arteta and Pep will always be one of pupil and teacher. Always. I really do. Unless Arteta wins the Prem this season and it makes it a change in him, for me that's what it is, to be honest with you. Harold is saying, if you Google Raya and mistakes, there are also several. It happens. Exactly right, Harold. That's exactly what I was saying. Harold adds to that, you need to keep the trust of the players. And that's it. Because it's not just the trust of the player of Kepa, it's the trust of the other players. So if the other players in the dressing room see he's worked his butt off to get you somewhere and then you drop him like a hot snot, the other players see that. It's not about being nice. It's about man management. It's about engaging your brain. It's about motivating players. It is not about being nice. It's about being smart. If you just drop him like a hot snot, you lose all the players' trust. However, if he's having a stinker and you pull him off and you give them someone better behind them, they're going to go, thanks for that. Do you know what I mean? I agree with Harold there. Lucky says, the world lets Spurs off the hook. They're immediate darling. Same for Liverpool. I do think Liverpool are getting very easy treatment this season. I'm going to be talking about that in the international break. We look at Wolves, they were going to be the worst Premier League team ever of all time. We're looking at Spurs, they're going to be the biggest relegation forever of all time. And Arsenal, if Arsenal don't win this Premier League, they will be the biggest bottlers in the history of the world ever. We might have to remove the word Spursy and replace it with some version of Arsenal. But you have Liverpool, who are the reigning champions, who spent all that money. Not a peep. But I think it's because so many other things are happening, they're getting away with it. But don't you worry, we're going to be talking about it in the international break, because I also feel that they're getting away with it. Spurs, no, I think Spurs are getting talked about constantly. I've seen loads of stuff about Spurs. Lucky also says, Arsenal will be fine. The manager and the players will learn from what went wrong. Lucky also adds, Glazers out. Correct and right, always. Nathan is saying hello. He has rejoined us. He took a hiatus and rejoined us. Sachin says, to me, funny. We talk about Liverpool and Sachin straight in. I love the timing of that sometimes. To me, it was interesting to see Slot's idea work out in practice when executed by a much better team. It just shows how far Liverpool have fallen behind City as well. There we have it. What else? Palace is saying this can get a little bit nervous if City manage to win against Arsenal, because City have one more match to play, and if they win it as well, it could be just 3 points between them. Now, more tea. The problem is if I don't drink it fast enough, it goes cold. Let me see. Oh, lucky. Stop that now. Be nice, please. There's no need for that. Everybody's nice in here. None of that, please and thank you. Right. What else are we saying? Yes, so Nathan is saying, if you consider Arteta, he had a game plan which always worked for him. Not really against the big teams, but in general. But he has never had a plan B, and in the second half, he was just in the palms of Pep and was clueless. To be fair, Nathan, though, I often feel like that about the City team. If they don't get it all their own way, they panic about it. They have some tantrums. They give out about the referee. They give out about the other team. They give out about everything. Do you know what I mean? So, yes, but also I think City often fall into that, which is why I thought City were going to lose, to be honest with you. And maybe it's something about big teams that we get a little bit overconfident in our own ability and feel we don't need to adapt. Luke is saying, we better be fine. I'm usually positive, but if somehow we slip up this season, my head will explode. To be fair, Luke, I think that would be a totally legitimate response if you mess it up this season. Sam is in the house. Hi, Lou, mods and chat. Well, hello to you, Sam. I can't help being happy with the Kepa error. I know it's petty, but after what he did to Chelsea in the final, I've never liked him. Do you know what, Sam? That's what football is, though. Somebody does something to your team and you're like, I'm going to remember that. I'm like that. See, Will Hughes, that plays for Palace, hate him. Just absolutely hate him after the Casemiro incident. I will never like that man. I think that's completely valid, normal reaction when somebody does something to your team. So your pettiness is welcome on here, Sam. Don't you worry. Let me see. What else are we saying? Let me see. Sachin, have you seen the compilation of City's tactic to not press? It's a fun watch. Saw it on X the other day. No, I actually haven't, Sachin, to be honest. Outside of watching the match and a small bit of reaction, because I was away, I actually haven't seen much of anything. I haven't been on X. I've been on X since Friday, since I left the country. I literally haven't opened it. Otherwise, we'd have been here for 3 hours with me catching up on all my tweets. But no. Like I said, there'll be plenty to talk about. So I haven't, but if you have a link for it, do drop it into the comments after the show and we can all check it out then. Nathan, do you think if, and that's a big if, Arsenal goes to the Etihad and snatch the FA Cup from City, then it would be a big victory and no one would care about the Carabao Cup? I think it would be a big victory. I think people would still care about the Carabao Cup. I think whilst some people would consider the FA Cup bigger than the EFL Cup, I do still think it would be okay, you've got one and we've got one. Do you know what I mean? You'd need a tiebreaker then for the Prem. So, not to worry, Sachin. If you don't have it, you don't have it. It's just if you had it handy. If you don't, it's fine. I'm sure when I have a little scroll on X later, I'll find it. I'll dig it out. But, oh my God. Guys and gang, we have been live for 38 minutes. To be fair, at least 8 of those minutes is probably just me drinking tea. But let us move on to the topic of the poll. Does the Carabao Cup result impact the title race? Currently, the vote is at yes, 46%. Wow, okay. No, 31%. And it'll impact the City-Arsenal match, 23%. What do I think? Because I'm going to end the poll. So what do I think? Does it impact the title race? I think for me, yes, but maybe not in the way people are sort of assuming. The reason I think it impacts it is because if Arsenal had won, I think everybody would have said, that's it. It's a wipeout. It's over. Don't even talk about it. It's ridiculous to even talk about it. It's done. Arsenal have won a trophy. they're going for it. So the way I feel it impacts it, it's not necessarily, I think that's it, Arsenal's going to capitulate because they didn't win the Carabao Cup. I feel the fact that City won, it keeps just the seed of doubt alive, and sometimes that's enough. And I think then if you go to the City-Arsenal match and City win that one as well, and then they get to 3 points behind if they win their game in hand, I think it doesn't change the outcome right now. But I do think it changes the mentality of how it's being thought about. And I think if Arsenal had won, it would have been a completely different story. I think right now it means that the seed of doubt still lives for some people. So Sam is saying, I think Arsenal still win the league though, and deservedly so, as they have been the most consistent, but I would like a better Premier League next season. Not that Chelsea will help with that. I've thoroughly enjoyed this Premier League season. I thought it's been really good. It's been really competitive. Do you know what my favourite thing is? The games are hard to predict. I don't look at any single game at all, none of them, and go, that's a dead cert result. That's definitely what the result of that match is going to be. So for me, that makes it interesting. That makes it exciting because you don't know. What I hate and what I find boring is if it's predictable. It has been not predictable at all in any way, shape or form. So maybe not quality as such. I suppose it depends how you judge quality. But for me, in terms of excitement levels, in terms of interest levels, in terms of unpredictability factor, I think it's been fantastic. I've loved it. So I've really enjoyed it. Now, I hope United can carry on to the rest of the season, how well we've been doing, and carry that into next season. That's what I kind of have a bit of a question mark over. But yeah, look, I think that a lot of people have very different opinions on the Premier League this season. But that, I gave you my opinion sort of on whether I think is it going to impact it in the long run. But I did do a fun little exercise and I'm going to read it out to you guys. So what I did was I went through the last 10 years, okay? The last 10 years of Carabao Cup winners and where they placed in the Premier League that season. So if I go back, I'm going to go back to the farthest one first and then work my way forward. So in 15-16, City won the Carabao Cup, but then finished second in the Premier League. So if that happened this season, it would mirror that. In 16-17, United won the Carabao Cup and finished sixth in the Prem. So again, no correlation. Then in 17-18 and 18-19, you had City won the Carabao Cup and the Premier League. Then 19-20, City won the Carabao Cup and finished second again. So this is twice they've already done it. City then in 2021, they won the Carabao Cup and the Premier League. In 21-22, Liverpool won the Carabao Cup but came second in the league to Manchester City. Then in 22-23, United won the Carabao Cup, became third in the league. In 23-24, Liverpool won the Carabao Cup and came third in the Premier League. And then obviously last season, Newcastle won the Carabao Cup, but came fifth in the Premier League. So in the last 10 years, only 3 times has the winner of the Carabao Cup actually gone on to win the Premier League. That's only like 30, it would be about 30-31%. 3 out of 10. So like, I don't think winning the Carabao Cup necessarily guarantees that you're going to win the league. And we saw there, twice City have won the Carabao Cup and then finished second. So it wouldn't be unheard of for them to do the same thing again. Obviously this season is unique. Every season is unique. But I just thought it was interesting to see the correlation, because I was curious what was the sort of ratio of winning the Carabao Cup to then go on and win the Premier League. It's not as high as some people might have thought it was. I had no idea. I just didn't know. So I thought, well, if I'm interested, some people might also be interested in that. But yeah, I think it changes the mentality more so than anything else. And obviously we know then the mentality can make the difference. It's a big match for Nico O'Reilly. We've been talking a lot about young players at the moment in Europe, in the Premier League. When I say Europe, I mean European competitions. The difference is that the younger players have been making, it's just unbelievable. Like Nico O'Reilly there, he's 21, you know, like they're so young and they're doing such amazing things. And again, that's a memory he's going to have for the whole rest of his life. Pep's delighted because he loves it. He loves the Carabao Cup. I actually think it's one of its favourite trophies. But yes, guys, so that is us for this afternoon. So let me read the last of your comments and then I'm going to let you all go because we're going to be back at 7 o'clock this evening. So what have what have we said? Sachin is agreeing with Sam. This season has had a very low quality of football. Palace agrees with that. Sam can understand my point but hasn't been a fan of the quality. It could cure insomnia. Well, with all the 0-0 draws for Bournemouth, I'll tell you what, they're a team I won't be paying much attention to next year because the 0-0s, they're enough for me. Palace says, I feel like this season many teams were in their transition period. Good example would be Bournemouth. There you go. We're talking about Bournemouth. Let me see. Lucky says, I won't talk about Arsenal. They have a better squad than us and now build to win the Premier League. Sachin says, O'Reilly is the actual star boy who keeps getting crucial goals. And Guess is encouraging everybody to leave a comment after the stream. Who do you think, as of today right now, and obviously it can change, if you're answering today right now this minute, once the stream ends, get into the comments. Who do you think is going to win the Premier League this season? On that note, guys, I am going to thank you all very much for your time, for being here, for sharing a part of your day with me. If you have not done so already, please do smash a like on the video, share it around your football circles, and I will see hopefully all of you later on at 7 p.m. this evening. Have a very lovely rest of your day. Chat soon.